We're doing another true crime documentary for whatever month this is coming out. I don't remember. We're going to be doing Twin Flames, Escaping Twin Flames. So this is a 3-episode documentary. So usually how we do these, we're going to be doing splitting it into 2. We do the full first episode with half of the second episode, and then we will do the second half of the episode into the remaining episode 3 for the second one, which will come in a week after this one. So let's get into it. Episode 1, we start this off by seeing a mediocre white man buy a Porsche. We then see a woman calling the police department who has a twin sister in this particular group. Her mom actually says that she quit smoking until she got that goodbye letter from her daughter. So more on that. In 2018, we start hearing about this daughter, whose name I will get in a little bit, so bear with me. She started talking about spiritual things, twin flames, which is an actual concept, which I don't want to Google because I do not want to get anything else. Then these people are told or tell her she could have fame and love and she could work for them. That is when she disappeared and they found the twin flame universe. We meet Keely. She was working at a meat counter where she was working with this guy named Colby. He came over to help her with some stuff with the meat counter. He would do things for her, but it just, they kind of dated, I guess, maybe casually over a little while, but it didn't work out because he didn't want to be in a committed relationship with, well, I guess, anyone. So she ends up moving back to Massachusetts, but she just couldn't get Colby out of her head. She saw this idea of the twin flames and believed maybe he was her twin flame. She does switch on, or I think she does a search, on couples, and she ends up seeing Jeff and Shalea, and this is where she's introduced to the community. So we kind of start meeting other people. They'll get sprinkled in throughout. So Keely ends up buying Jeff and Shalea's book on twin flames. And from there, most likely with their encouragement, tell her to buy these classes to help her towards the goal of her twin flame and more. The classes, she said, cost $222 a month. She said she could barely afford it, but she was motivated, so she clearly found a way to make that happen. And she tells us that if you got to the end, you could be in harmonious union or whatever with your twin flame. So we kind of see some of the bullshit that these two idiots are spewing. And then from that, we learn about this particular thing called mirror exercises. So this is how the mirror exercises work. So step 1, you would say, I'm mad at so-and-so. So for example, I could say, I don't know, I'm mad at Dick for being a dick. The step 2, though, would be the same sentence, but now you're turning it around on yourself. So you would say, I hate myself because I hate Dick. So, that's basically, we're joking about it in this moment, but they would say really harmful things to themselves. And this apparently was a way to help them learn to love themselves. I'm no expert, but I feel like that's actually the opposite. I feel like if you're spewing negativity towards yourself, that's gonna make you hate yourself more. And it's proven that speaking out loud negative things is at a slower rate than the negative things you already say in your head. So it's, I mean, I don't need to preach to the choir, but this is dangerous. So then we learn about Stephanie and Paula. Stephanie moved to Taiwan where she was in the Peace Corps. So this is actually, so Paula was the woman we saw earlier who was calling the police. This is her twin sister. There she met a man who she was immediately attracted to, but he was maybe not as interested, which again is normal. You're not going to be attracted to this is like The Bachelor. Not everyone is going to be attracted to the same person. Mind you, I think everyone will be attracted to Grant. Don't y'all tell, don't say anything. I'm watching the show. I know I didn't get to talk about it. I feel like the season blew by so quickly. Um, but I am I'm watching. And Carolina's is a choice. She yeah, anyways, back to twin flames. She googled I had this intense connection to someone, kind of what do I do about that? And it was from this search on Google. That's an interesting search. She saw the concept of twin flames. So she comes home after this, and Paula is actually getting married. Stephanie's obviously a part of the wedding party, but she says that Stephanie was there, but she was also doing these coaching calls. So she wasn't fully there. And she said that these calls would keep her up all hours of the night. So we kind of learn a little more about Jeff, who was in business school. He moves to Hawaii, where apparently everybody who's in a cult moves to. No, I feel so horrible for Hawaii. What is keep happening to them? Anyway, he changes his name to Ender something or other, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. Makes light joking about Jonestown. That's a problem, especially for where this is going to be heading to later. And he says, maybe I should start a cult. So he meets Shalea in 2012. She apparently messaged him saying, basically, Michael and Sarah fashion you out for Leighton. And says, like, you horny? Listen, I've been in situations. Usually the person who says, are you horny, usually doesn't get a response back. But this fucker obviously answers her back because he is who he is. And he apparently responds back to her, which this is a crock of shit. Says, I was dealing with 9 million other women, but after 26 years of, I think I might have written this down wrong, bane hunting, I asked her to marry me. So first of all, let's go back a minute. 9 million other women? The fuck? Okay, for those who haven't seen this documentary, which I don't, but you need to, there's no way in hell this man is getting 9 million women talking to him. There's just no way. First of all, I think he might be closeted, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. Mind you, Shalea, that's not her real name. Her real name is Megan Plant. So moving forward, my notes are only going to refer to her as Megan, you stupid bitch. Anyway, she started him down this path of, I guess, the twin flame or cults or whatever. They moved to Michigan. He had multiple different websites. If you have a life-threatening ailment, y'all, he will look into the root of it, and cure it for you. And that is why this is being covered by true crime. So, of course, he would also say for a price, because the colloidal silver can't be for free. Oh, sorry, that's a different cult. Anyways, Keely, talks about her sister Marley, who she unfortunately introduces to twin flames. She said she wanted to share this experience with her. And they were very close. So she wanted to, I guess, have her part of this as well. Um, so we now meet Marley. She explains to us that they had a very tough childhood growing up. She was 18 when Keely first introduced her to twin flames. She said that she seemed intrigued with Megan and how she carried herself, which is incredible. Anyways, so she joined. After Keely started doing the mirror exercises, she reached out to Colby, and Jeff would say like the pics of, he would see the pics of Keely and Colby, and he would say, go be with him. Like, that's your twin flame. Because they had been in harmonious union for years, apparently Megan and Jeff would be able to pick out who your twin flame is going to be because they apparently have super fucking powers. Anyway, she then gave her login info to Colby for the Twin Flames universe so that he could read the book. And apparently he felt that he had a spiritual awakening, and they ultimately got back together from that. She says, you have to show all of the good and post it to the Facebook forum. So all of the happy, smiley moments, those are the only things that you could post on the forum. Not only that, but they would actually kind of force you to, especially the people who were kind of the face of this. So Jeff and Megan started a GoFundMe because of course they did. But they were told how to, so let me back up. They created a GoFundMe for Keely and Colby, but they were also told how the money was going to be allocated, down to the goddamn curtains that were being picked. So, with that though, both Keely and Colby are in harmonious union. And now, because of that, Keely's now a coach. And Jeff is the one who trained her. They made basically $60 per session, which obviously, honestly, I feel like this group um, is not a huge group. So and again, we're going to see how how the coaches are going to be much bigger than just Keely or maybe a few others. It would become basically impossible for these people to make money. Not only that, but whatever proceeds, or a huge portion of whatever they made from sessions, was going towards Jeff and Megan. But she does say in the beginning they were able to keep all of their earnings from being coaches. So then we meet Sarah, who said that she befriended Stephanie. So now we're in on December 30th, 2016, was the first in-person gathering, which was in New York. Jeff says, I have never been in a room where everyone loves me because let's face it, y'all, this is the only reason he's doing this. For his own selfish reasons, he needs to be validated. A car horn just randomly goes off at the wrong fucking time. And everyone is just like, oh my God, it's a sign. For what? Anyways, I said that, but anyways. At the meetup, we learn about soul family. And they basically were preaching that your soul family was your real family. Your actual biological blood family, well, they don't matter anymore. Just your soul family does. Stephanie was so emotional at the idea of a soul family because she had been having issues with her own family. But that's okay. You wanna know why? Because Sarah, who I mentioned a few minutes ago, is now your soul sister, and that's all that matters. Jeff convinced her in this moment to write the letter that was discussed earlier on when her mom said, I picked back up smoking once I got that goodbye letter from my daughter. So Jeff was the reason that letter happened. And she wrote it. And the next day she dropped it off and it was mailed. And well, we know the rest. She chose true alignment with God. And for that, she's cutting ties with everyone else aside of this group. After that, she blocked everyone on everything. So there she is, cutting ties. So Jeff and Megan would do this thing called a calling ceremony. And in the calling ceremony, they would call in your twin flame. He points, I think it was Marley out the next day and says, like, have you met him before? Have you met who your twin flame is? And she's like, well, I don't know. And they kind of push her to the point where she ultimately says, well, there was this guy that messaged me randomly a while ago. Yesterday, he sent me a song, and she's basically forced to read the lyrics of the song. And then they ask her, so what's his name? His name is Joshua. Problem is, though, she didn't like him. She describes him as creepy because let's face it, he is creepy. He is stalking her. She's probably ignored him, doesn't want anything to do with him. He is older. And maybe she's verbally said, I'm not interested. And he kept continuing on. This man is a predator. But he's not a predator. He's a twin flame. We learn a little more about this Joshua character, who we never see. They do blur him. She says that he can't move to her because, y'all, he got quote unquote falsely arrested for drugs. It wasn't his, it was his friend's. I mean, come on now. The fuck? You want to scream. Keely says, I had to distance myself from Marley to allow her to focus on this relationship that she was having with Josh. So she can't even have the relationship with her sister, who is her blood sister, who is also a part of this group. And you see, you're basically told you have to distance yourself so she can focus on the relationship. Basically, let's alienate her, make her feel like she's alone in this, so that she ultimately has to turn to her quote unquote twin flame. So she ultimately decides, or let's be real, she doesn't decide, she's forced to move to Utah where he lives to be with him because he's on probation for that false arrest of drugs that don't belong to me. Keely and Colby are getting married now. It's been about 2 months since they've been back together. They had to do it for themselves, but let's be real, they really had to do it for the community, for the group. The marriage was small, and it was, of course, posted on the forum because we have to show all of the good, not the bad. Then we meet Elle. She is a DJ. There's a lot here to unpack, so bear with me. She wanted to be a producer. She says she's been going to Burning Man since 2009, and that is where she met, quote unquote, her twin flame. They agreed to kind of give it a shot. She moved to the Bay Area to be with him. She was working at a biolab helping to cure cancer. I mean, my girl was doing the damn the good work. Let's be real. She thought the relationship was good, but then in 2017, She got into a really bad car accident. She had to have 3 spinal surgeries, like, really bad. And this motherfucker, he is he seems like a really, really great guy. No, he's an asshole. In her time of need, this guy breaks up with her. He is garbage. So she ends up turning to spirituality. She was always very upset. And she, in the process of that, found the Twin Flames universe. Jeff encouraged her to believe, well, your ex, like, he's not your ex, he's your twin flame. Don't give up. She wasn't sure about this though, because he could be really cold and shut off to her. Because of course, I think everyone handles breakups very differently. I mean, he's an asshole, but everyone handles breaks up very differently. Where it's like, I'm done, I'm cutting it off, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do to make sure you understand. So, but this person's her twin flame, apparently. Anyway, she says one night she was chilling with his roommate because she didn't have a lot of people that she knew in San Francisco. She's chilling with the roommate. He comes home, she says, and so not letting it go. She confronts him about the breakup and he gets upset. I think, yeah, you're in his home, causing issues in his home. So he ends up filing a temporary restraining order. But Jeff to the rescue, says, who cares about that stupid, pesky, temporary restraining order? It doesn't mean shit when it's your twin flame. He says, it's not real. It's a figment of your imagination. It doesn't exist. God. So go get your man, girl. Go do what you gotta do. And guess what, y'all? Elle's story is not unique. Others had also been slapped with restraining orders. And of course, they probably encouraged Lester twin flame, so, whatever. She was not in a relationship with him, but she was told to believe that she was, which is confusing. Then we meet Shanice. Her twin flame was in another relationship, having a baby with this person. But who cares about that? Who cares about that baby and that other woman that he's having the baby with? He's your twin flame. If he rejects you, well, your bodies talk about it. He's a guy. Guys can't resist. That part's true. And guys are dumb, and they will do what they gotta do. But still, besides the point, this is dangerous. Colby, it says, we see him saying this, doesn't want to be controlled by Keely because he's the man. He can't be controlled by a woman. Well, Jeff says, well, she's just a pesky old woman. Keely, it's okay to be feminine. Let the man be masculine. Y'all, I was triggered. So now we are hearing about divine masculine and divine feminine. Colby felt entitled to Keely's body, so take that as you may. There may have been opportunities, sorry, the wrong word to use. There may have been moments where he's abusing the privilege of, yeah. So then we start hearing, yes, y'all, twin flame sex is awesome. You should be having great sex all the damn time. Not only that, hold your vomiting. Jeff is well fucked, and I literally vomited in my mouth because I don't need to know. And if your man wants to fuck, well, guess what, y'all? You can't say no, women out there. You can't say no. You give it to him because it is his given right as a man to be well fucked. So we are joking about Jeff sexually assaulting Megan because apparently it's funny to talk about the fact that this man is probably, I think Megan is definitely the mastermind behind a lot of this. But I do wonder if there are times where this girl just does not. She's like, I don't want to. And I'm sure he has probably sexually assaulted her. Anyway, if you want the details on that, you can watch the episode. And he says, like, that's not all women want. I think he must have said something along the lines of, and I'm repeating, but what he does say is apparently women just want to be roughed up, and that's what we want. Then we meet Joshua, kind of, and they're now in a harmonious union. It wasn't a harmonious union. He was 11 years older than her, no job because he has a criminal record for that false arrest he had. A criminal record. Her union with Josh is only hard if she lets it be, apparently. That's what Jeff told her. And they would be forced to post on the forum, of course, all good things. Elle was, back to Elle, was being encouraged to communicate with the ex, although let's not forget she has a restraining order slapped on her. He was reporting every text and every call to the police, and she was unaware of all of that happening. On her 30th birthday, she goes out to dance, and according to her, he just randomly seemed to be at the same place. I think she knew he was going to be there. Call me crazy, but I really think she knew he was going to be there. But she says he thought I followed him, and he called the cops. And they pulled her out. They handcuffed her. She had 2 different phone numbers that she remembered off by heart, that she could call in times of need. And those numbers were her ex and her mom. Clearly, she can't call her ex from prison or jail. So she says, like, I had cut my mom off because she obviously was having issues with her mom because her mom didn't understand what was going on. So instead of her calling her mom for help, she ends up doing the mirror exercise while in her jail cell, repeating her last coaching session with Jeff. Basically, let's not mince words here, finding a way to blame herself for the reason she was in there. Sad. But that's episode 1.